Grill Sergeant here, and after a heavy 6 months of use on the Pit Boss Pro Series Vertical Elite 6 Series smoker, today we're going to cover my top 5 pros and cons about this smoker. Now, if you stay to the end of this video, we are going to be comparing this Pit Boss Pro Series to the Pit Boss Brunswick in a head-to-head battle to see which vertical smoker is best. Now, if you've been down to your local Lowe's in the barbecue section and have seen this smoker in person, you know this thing is huge, which brings us to pro number 1, its size. Inside the cabinet, you have 5 racks. Each of them are 13 by 22 inches, and they are spaced 5 inches apart. And that leaves plenty of room if you want to pack this thing full of briskets, ribs, or pulled pork. So whether you're thinking about smoking meat just for the family, starting a catering business, feeding a church, or heck, even feeding a whole army, because of its size, this smoker will get the job done. All right, next pro is the Rapid Fire Igniter. For the new Elite Series, they took the previous igniter and they basically made it 4 times the size. And the benefit of having a huge igniter is this thing starts up in literally 1/4 the time, comparing it to other smokers that I've used. On the last cook, I actually timed it to see how quick it could get up to 250 degrees, and it was under 15 minutes, which is pretty impressive given its size. So now with the quick startup times, I can turn the smoker on, go inside, prep the meat, and by the time the meat is already done prepped, this thing is already at 250 and ready to rock and roll. Now, this next feature was just about as cool as the Rapid Fire Igniter, and it is the VST, or Variable Smoke Technology. This thing outputs a ton of barbecue smoke. Like, this thing at any temperature you set it to in smoke mode can deliver that awesome wood-fired smoke no matter what temperature it's at. Now, in smoke mode, you do have 7 settings of how much smoke you want to produce. And in the highest settings, I swear Native Americans will show up because they think I'm sending smoke signals up into the air. Now, in previous Pit Boss models, you had PID, which delivered extremely accurate temps, but where PID fell short is it really had a hard time delivering that awesome smoky goodness, which is why you'd get a smoker in the first place. So with this one, you actually have the option to do PID or smoke mode, but I find myself 90% of the time using smoke mode and just cranking it all the way up because I am absolutely loving the smoke flavor I'm now getting on my barbecue. My next favorite pro is down at the bottom of the smoker, and it is the pull-out firebox. This is great that you can actually remove and empty out the firebox without having your hands get all greasy and dirty, taking out all the grates to access your burn pot. You can dump the contents out, put some more fresh pellets in if you want for a quicker startup time, and put it right back in. Now, if you did want to clean out above the ash pot area, there are 4 screws, 2 in the back and 2 in the front. You can remove those, pull this out, and that will help you get in there if you wanted to vacuum out any excess ash. All right, the next pro would actually be the side shelf here that has the attached LCD display. Now, what's cool about the display is it will read vertical or horizontal depending on the position of the shelf. If you want it in compact mode and fold it down, the display will read vertical, or you can just lift it up and it becomes a sturdy side shelf, which is very handy when you want to put some barbecue here, like a plate of barbecue, open the smoker up and start putting it in. Having a side shelf on a vertical smoker is very, very handy, and having a touchscreen display is pretty darn cool. Now, I did say we were going to go over 5 pros, but I do have 3 runners up I do want to hit really quick. Number 6 is the side dual latches. You have a latch at the top, a latch at the bottom, and it holds the door shut. In previous models, you've had a single latch here, and that could leave a gap here at the top or bottom. With the dual latches, this thing seals up nice and tight. The next pro would be on the back, and it is the 70-pound hopper, and this is where you're going to put your fuel source. I've loaded this thing up once, and I have yet to actually refill it with more pellets. It is time for a refill, But what's cool is you also do get a glass sight on the side, so you can actually visually see how much pellets you have. And then at the bottom right here, you do have a trap door that will help dump your pellets. And the last thing I wanted to touch on is this does have two built-in lights. One is on the outside here that would help you see what is on the shelf if you actually did have something up here. And then the other is mounted at the top of the smoker so you can actually see at night what is in the cabinet. All right, first con I have is the actual door itself. And it's not something that's actually Pit Boss's fault, but I have a patio and it slants a little bit. So whenever I am opening the smoker to get something inside, the door is actually, it tries to close in on itself. There's been times where, you know, I'm trying to get something in there and this thing comes in, it's almost like it's trying to burn me. I'm like, ah! Now the funny thing is, I could flip this smoker 180 degrees and the door opens up just fine, but I kind of want to give you guys this really nice, beautiful background versus looking at my house. The door is mounted on a simple hinge. It's actually very easy to remove. If there was something on these hinges that actually put maybe a little bit more tension on it, that would be something that might help it hold into place whether or not your patio actually has a slight angled slope to it. So again, not really Pit Boss's fault. If this was leveled out, this wouldn't be an issue, but I wish there was maybe something beefier with the hinges on this side that would actually hold it in place at any angle. So the next con I have is actually with this bottom hinge, and let me show you. Whenever the side shelf is down, it's really hard to actually get here and close this hinge without actually having the heat from this hinge kind of burn your hand. If this side shelf is folded up and out of the way, that's not an issue. But if this is closed, it's really hard to get in here without actually having the heat from this hinge try to hurt your hand. Next con I have is I wish these latches had a micro adjust on them that you could actually adjust how far out and how far in this goes. Because there's sometimes if I'm trying to close it, it's almost like I have to push in a little bit for this latch to engage before it clamps down. And so if I could actually have this thing adjust slightly, that could kind of help alleviate that. All right, the next con would be the fixed rack positions. You pretty much have 5 racks you can put in here and they are already preset. You can't adjust these higher or lower. It would be cool in future models to see a lot more options as far as where I can slide in and out in the racks. And it would allow me, if I wanted to buy even more racks, I could fit more racks in here, whether, say if I'm doing beef jerky, more racks the better, and it's not going to take up that much space. So it would be cool to see that. And then the last con is I need a cover. I did check this morning though, and it looks like the cover is available on the Pit Boss website and on the Lowe's website, so I will be ordering that. So I guess the con in that is whenever they release a new smoker, there's usually a 3 to 4 month wait time before they actually put out the cover to this. And so it kind of has to face the elements before you can actually get it covered and protected. So were any of those cons an actual deal breaker for me? Absolutely not. This smoker is phenomenal. I absolutely love it. This thing I find myself smoking a few times a week, and we're not talking like, you know, we're talking about smoking some good barbecue. So this thing, I put it through the paces, hasn't given me any issues at all. So I love this thing. Now, if we're comparing it to the Brunswick, and that Brunswick was a beast of a vertical smoker, and comparing the Brunswick to this one, this Pro Series will run circles around the Brunswick, mainly in the rapid fire igniter and in the VST smoke mode. When it comes to the rapid fire igniter, this thing, as I said previously, took less than 15 minutes to get up to 250, whereas the Brunswick, it would take almost 45 minutes for me to get up to 250. I mean, that's a long time. Now, granted, it was a big cabinet, and to me, it is what it is. But seeing how quick this rapid fire igniter heats up, I am absolutely loving it. The second thing is the VST. You have the PID, which is the same as the Brunswick, but the VST smoke mode That means at any temperature, it is just putting out tons and tons of smoke. And that is just outputting awesome, awesome flavor that you really couldn't get with previous models that don't have the VST. Size was pretty much comparable. Only con would be the hopper size. I believe the Brunswick had almost 100-pound hopper. I think it was like 98. This one has 70. Does that really matter, seeing as you could smoke for like 40 hours straight on either? Not really. This thing is definitely awesome. And if you are in the market for a new vertical smoker, this is definitely one to check out. If you do have any questions about anything that I skipped or missed on this thing, let me know. I can always answer them in the comment section or make a follow-up video. Other than that, I hope you found this helpful. I will put the link to Lowe's so you can check this out, or just go down to Lowe's and check it out. But this thing is definitely not hard to miss because its size is huge. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Grill Sergeant out. All right, show's over, folks. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, all right?